Welcome again to a Better Late Than Never show prep for the heathen community. My name is Bryan Wilton, and I am live and in concert. And some of y'all will join me, and some will join me later at my go-through call this afternoon. I missed last week because my old ass tore a pectoralis, so I had to have surgery. And as you can see, I still have this bandage on that smells like a big-ass foot, and they cut me in the armpit and sewed it all back together. And yes, it hurts like ass. But I cannot in good conscience for a second week in a row deny the rest of the heathen community the wit and wisdom of a well thought out spiritual process that is the manifestation of the blessings the gods have laid upon me. So here we are. Yes, that is an arrogant thing to say, but if you read my work, it's so much more right than everybody else's. Hello, live and in concert. So we are going to talk about the monomyth, right? The hero's journey. I had the good opportunity and occasion to spend some time today with another fellow heathen. And as I was shopping for my daughter and my better half and my daughter's friend, Miss Shanae Bellinger today, and we went to the mall and it wore me out. The fact that it's an hour away doesn't help matters. But be that as it may, here we are. It was a good time. It was a good time. It was good for people that come out of Canada and wanted to come meet and hang out for a little while. And we got to spend some time talking with each other, supporting each other, and just being who we are. And he was talking about certain things, and it made me think of several things. One is I look out over the entirety of the heathen community. I do not see groups of organizations or individuals that are interested in reminding an individual that, yeah, you're following this path. Here's some information to remind you that you've made the right decision and that moving forward, things are going to be better. At the end of the day, no one shows up at a fucking church because everything's going hunky-dory in their life, right? They don't show up there because, you know what? Everything is going good. I think I'm going to change it all. Why not? This is just too good. Now, when somebody shows up at the door of the church, there's a reason for it. And I call it a church, and I don't really care if anybody likes it or not. But the fact of the matter is, it's a place we go to polish up the spiritual matters of our lives. It parallels the hero's journey quite nicely. Because at some point in our life, things are going to shit, and we make a decision, you know what? I'm going to change the spiritual foundation of my life. In the monomyth, according to Joseph Campbell, this is the call to adventure. And let me tell you what, it sure is, because just like corporate America, there are plenty of people willing to stab you in the back, take a shot at the man on top. None of them are competent enough to offer a successful alternative, just he's doing something wrong and I'm not. What a fucking joke. All right? Most people hear that, they see that because they know that's what's going to happen. And what you end up with is, so the call to adventure is the hero starts off in a mundane situation. Yes, the drudgery of life, trudging the road to happy destiny, is worn us smooth out. We are down for the count, right? We're probably fat, work a regular job, sit around and watch TV and brush the Cheetos dust off our britches in the evening before we stumble our way to bed to get up in the morning and do it all again and call it important. Then Sunday we can go speak in tongues, heal, lay hands on for healing, get the healing glove, right? And do all the things we need to do and start Monday all over again. And, well, it's a fresh slate. Let's try it again because I know somebody else is going to do it for me, right? But the mundane situation of normality from which some information is received that acts as a call to head off into the unknown. I'll tell you what that call is fucking pain, right? Your wife leaves you. You go to jail. You get busted for drugs. You're a drunk. There's something going on, right? Your mama dies. Your daddy dies. You lose a kid. Something happens. And simply sitting there waiting on Jesus to take it away ain't fucking working. Now, I have heard some people say, well, I read enough and I began to see that Christianity didn't make sense and I needed to go back to the ways of my ancestors. To which I would submit, why were you reading that? Just to be argumentative? Something ain't clicking. Okay. So something ain't clicking. All right. Whatever the case may be, we got a call to adventure. Like I said, 90% of the people that show up here is because of a dream, which is a very more common than you might realize occurrence, and pain, and this don't make sense. This ain't working right. I'm not feeling the way I should. I am slowly dying. I am not living. I watch everybody around me do something better than I am, and they're enjoying life, and they're all smiles. And social media magnified that to the 10th degree. That call to adventure is the pointer that says, you're not making the most of the gifts that you have. That's the reason you're in the fucking boat you're in. Oh, no one wants to face up to that. So the first thing that happens is the refusal of the call. Fuck, no, I ain't doing that shit. Right? There's racists and there's non-racists and there's this and there's this sexuality and well, that's not right either. And what if they sacrifice a goat? Oh my gosh, the savagery of it. And they're just LARPing. They're just live action role playing. They're just dressed like Vikings. Oh my gosh, is that guy's really that mean? Refusal of the call. Often when the call is given, the future hero refuses to heed it. We will deny that nonsense as long as we can. Hell no, I got a handle on things. I got money in the bank. I'm doing good. This may be from a sense of duty or obligation, fear, insecurity, a sense of inadequacy, which is also more common than one might want to believe. Am I worth it? Especially after the end of a breakup, when you walk around with the word fool written across your fucking forehead because your old lady's done this or your old man's done that or some kind of nonsense is going on. Or some dickhead on social media is sending dick pics out, and the next thing you know, oh, that's a better choice over there. His bank account and his penis is bigger. I'm out, right? Well, hell yes, you're going to make that decision if you're sitting on the couch, 200 pounds overweight, covering Cheeto dust, watching Barney. Yeah, so coming to grips with that kind of nonsense is not the easiest thing to do. It requires an enormous amount of honesty with regards to who and what we are. Can I be better? Yeah. How much effort you going to take to be better? A fucking bunch. Yeah, I'll just wait for Jesus to do it. See the problem? It's real easy to refuse that call. But eventually some people jump on board. This is where it goes sideways. Because this is where we begin to say we need some help. Well, we just said nobody's going to do it for us. Now what? Well, the good news is if you're not racist, there's this group of people over here that say, if you just tell everybody you're not racist, you can be a part of this group and we can wear a hammer and you'll be okay. And then there's some group over here that say, well, we believe that this is a heritage thing. This is heritage, not hate. And we believe if you believe in this, you can be a part of this thing and wear a hammer and be part of us. And then they separate wider and wider, this huge chasm between the two, that the strength of their argument for these people that have decided to make a decision, right? That's all they've done is made a decision to make a decision, not done anything. They said, well, I think I doesn't require any courage to be on this. I think I can do this. Well, this kind of suits me because I feel like being an asshole in public anyway. So I think I'll be a part of this. And that way I could just, both of them are ego-feeding propositions that do nothing to say, oh, I've made a right decision to join a group. And this decision to join a group is going to empower my spirituality to become something better, to become something more, to reinforce the idea in my thought process that, well, I have made the right decision to follow a spirituality that my ancestors followed. And whether anyone fucking wants to believe it or not, there are far more many of your ancestors that followed these ancient pagan paths than ever bent the knee to a cross in the Middle East. Tough shit. Don't care if you like it or not. That's the reality of it. So we might as well get that out of the way right now and remind everyone that every single tale in the Bible is a repeat stolen from a much older pagan culture that the Jews were slaves in or some kind of nonsense like that. They carried over here. Let's use that tale because then they'll understand that tale because they're familiar with the version of it. We'll use our version of it. And that way they don't have to do anything. This God's already done it for you. And then you can just go about your way and be wage slaves or whatever you want to call it. Now we've made a commitment. Now we've made a commitment to one or the other. Now we've made a commitment to be a part of something. And we have to deal with all of the goddamn baggage that goes with it on both sides. And not either side will listen to the other one. Nope. I can't hear that because the entirety of my spirituality is based on this idea and not a single spiritual principle, but this idea that holds this group together, because when we know we're right because we believe this social issue, and this, when we know we're right because we believe in this social issue, what spiritual issue are you using to make yourself better people? Well, I don't know, but this social issue really outlines for me that I'm doing better than everyone else. Oh, how so? Draw me a fucking map, Leonardo. The best thing that can happen right now is something that comes in and absolutely shakes the fucking foundations of these asinine belief systems that various groups have put together. And it can be anything like, oh, well, they're not really Vikings and I know why. Or I've read this book and I really know why, how this works. The best thing that can happen right now is something come in and we receive what's called supernatural aid. Once the hero has committed to the quest, consciously or unconsciously, his or her guide, magical helper appears or becomes known. Well, what's that look like? I don't know, because I'm focused on a goddamn social issue and I'm stuck with making sure that I stick to this social issue so other people will judge the quality of my spirituality because of my stance on a fucking social issue. Good job. Way to go. Let's lead everyone off the path to begin with, where all of the richness, the tapestry, the warmth, all of the things that make our spirituality a warm and inviting spirituality for people that do walk up here have been hijacked by individuals committed to making sure we never understand, see, or feel that. Awesome. What a phenomenal idea. Good job. So now we're on our own. Fortunately, you have me, and I am the wellspring from which you flow. And I hope everyone that hears that knows that I'm right and is mad about it, gets a huge case of the ass and slanders my name all over the internet because I said it out loud. Please, by all means, tell everybody how wrong I am. You can't pay for that kind of advertising. I'm just going to tell you right now. Anytime somebody gets that mad, they're going to go out. You can't pay for that kind. And I am going to write a new book that's going to outline all of this. And this stuff that I'm talking about right now is outlined quite handsomely in a fabulous novel, a fabulous book called Beneath a Sacred Tree, of which I'm particularly proud to call one of my own. May not be Truer Box, still I think is probably one of the best. But both of them, when read in conjunction, brings you to the fourth one, crossing the first threshold. This is the point where the person actually crosses into the field of adventure, leaving the known limits of his or her world and venturing into an unknown and dangerous realm where the rules and limits are not known. The edge of chaos, my friends, the structures we've built to harness in our thinking processes, our thought processes have come from untogether, right? We are free of all of the boundaries and limitations that everyone's, you can't do that. You can't write a book. Who the fuck do you think you can write a book? What do you know? You don't know enough to write a book. Well, you can't make a movie. Why would you want to make a movie? Nobody else is making a movie. Fuck those people. Find those people to say, you know what? You should. Go for it. Try. What help do you need from me to make that a reality? All right? That's what you want. But now we've crossed that first threshold, and this is where we actually begin that adventure in life. And this is also where you've been kicked out of either one of these groups because you no longer fit their narrative. Thank the gods that you have. Because now you are free of the cult-like influence that seems to shadow any true spiritual development, meaning, or growth that has been foisted upon these people by a fucking social issue, as if it's relevant to your spiritual development. Let me tell you something. If your spiritual development isn't relevant, if it's not working the way it should, yeah, you're going to cling to these shallow, on the surface type of ideas and not once come close to achieving who and what you can become. Nowhere near it. Misinterpretations abound of the lore. I cover many of them on here, right? Tyr is not the god of justice, morons. Freya is not Golveg. It says it in the fucking lore. Might read the lore. When we get into these ideas that now you're out of this group and you start looking through all of the other nonsenses out there, well, now you've been framed as being this or being that. And now you've got to really stand on principle. Now you've got to learn your stuff. Now you got to know what you're talking about, because otherwise nobody's going to pay attention to you. Well, why is it important for people to pay attention to me? Well, because I'm more right than everybody else. Well, how do you know you're more right than everybody else? Well, because I believe I am. Really? Does it work in your life? What's your life look like? Are you still struggling day to day? Are you actually working towards a goal? Or are we actually doing the things that need to be done and dealing with the shortfalls and struggling and actually putting one foot in front of the other, no matter how fucking tough it is, to see if these principles that you want to adhere to actually matter, work, and make a difference in your life? That's where the rubber meets the road, people. That's what it's supposed to be like. If your spirituality isn't empowering your heart and your mind to become something more, to be daring, to be bold, to step up to the plate, to say, hey, that's not right, and I'm going to tell you why, then why are you doing it? Because we stepped out of, well, I need to be good so I can get to heaven, all the way back at the first step. We're only 4 steps in of these 17 stages. This is a radical transformation that is the pattern for every single journey of every single hero in every single spirituality and mythology. And for every person that decides to change the foundation of their spiritual belief system. We're all going through it. Because then we find we're in the belly of the whale. Which is also a very old pagan tale. The Christian one happens to occur in the very same place the original pagan tale happened. The belly of the whale represents the final separation from the hero's known world and the self. So that individual back here that kind of made this decision to put one foot forward and stepped off into this chasm, this pathway between Scylla and Charybdis, all of a sudden finds himself in the belly of the whale. By entering this stage, the person shows their willingness to undergo a metamorphosis. So if you're sitting back over here, and I'm sitting here right now today, and the best thinking I can come up with, and I set a goal, that goal is going to pale in comparison to what I can think of by the time I get to that goal. It will be as easy as knowing the back of my hand, because I will have continued to work and change and become something better and strive, because I have a spirituality that supports and empowers me. It doesn't tell me somebody's going to do it for me. It tells me I'm going to do it for myself. And it's not because I need to get into heaven. We got rid of that shit way back in the beginning. It's because now, all of a sudden, it might dawn on us in the toughest of times, because the belly of the whale is the toughest of times. It is the symbolic death of the old you that was waiting on someone else to take care of life's problems for you. And this is antithetical to the way the entirety of the world is set up at this time. From our spiritualities to our governments, to our jobs. Somebody else is going to take care of that for you. You just need to do this one thing and do it again and 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 get paid. That's it. That's life. And all of a sudden we're saying, hey, I can do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. All at the same time, I'm doing this thing. And there's opportunity in that. So now we're in the belly of the whale. Now we've got to choke through all of the bile and the bullshit the world will throw at us as we begin to understand, before we even knew what we were doing, before we even had a good solid foundation upon which to move forward, we jumped. We jumped and we ran with it. A students teach, B students worked for C students because C students were too stupid to figure out they couldn't do it, and they went and did it. And I would submit to you today that in much of the world, with regards to spirituality and our emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, we're a bunch of C students, because the entire time we've been cheating off of someone else's notes, waiting on somebody else to do it for us. This is a real challenge. Now we're facing a road of trials. And I'm going to wrap this up because I got my Gothy call here in just a minute, and Leroy's going to be a little bit late, but we'll get to it. The road of trials is a series of tests, tasks, or ordeals that the person must undergo to begin the transformation. Often the person fails one or more of these, one of these tests, which often occur in threes. I want you to hear that right there. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we're faced with a challenge that challenges our preconceived notions of how life works, how things are supposed to go. Sometimes there are some renegades like myself that say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go do exactly what I want to do, and I don't care the damage it causes to anybody. Well, that's something that needs to be fixed, isn't it? Huh. Shit, man, maybe I failed. Guess I better try again, huh? Because there ain't nobody going to say, oh, well, you're forgiven. Nope. You got to fix it. You got to fix it in yourself. And it ain't the easiest thing to do, because on the other side of that becomes a man who, or a woman who is characterized by honesty and integrity and sticking with their word and doing what they're supposed to be doing to begin with. Well, fuck, that might mean I have to stand by some kind of spiritual principle. But these social issues work so nicely. Oh, now we begin to see why the social issues become the predominant thing, because now I'm on this road of trials, and the thing that I'm turning into might really be a man or woman of worth. Not a fuckstick talking about some social issue they think they know something about, most of which are half-truths. And there's nothing more dangerous in this world than a half-truth. And the road to trials, one of the things that we will learn is that we don't deal in half-truths. It ain't about being just enough information. Ask any nimble corporate warrior who's stabbing their buddy in the back to move up in the ranks about a half-truth. All of them are experts at how to manipulate that nonsense to step up in the world. I've achieved this. I haven't really done anything, but I knew enough half-truths to really fuck that person over and move up. You better be savage. You're going to play in the corporate world. You better have your ducks in a row. Road of trials. Something we got to contend with, isn't it? Well, how do we do that? Means you can't just rest on your laurels about any of this, because you're on a path, whether you know it or not. Now, these first things are a separation. Oof. You are being torn out of the familiar fabric of the reality in which you currently exist. Yanked up by the short hair and neck. Now, the belly of the crossing the threshold, the belly of the whale, the road of trials. This is the beginning of the initiation. This is the forging of the fundamental character, the metal with which you will interact with the world. The quality of the person that you become through this initiation is the thing the world will see. And hopefully, as we continue on, I'm probably going to do a couple series on this. When we return, we bring it to others, and we celebrate the freedom to live. It's very hard to envision such a freedom to live when you're still trying to wrestle with the idea that I've got this call to go do something radically different than anything I've ever seen before. That's different from what my parents did, or my grandparents did, or my brother and sister are doing, or my kids are doing. All of a sudden, I've got a much different challenge in front of me. And I might end up in the belly of the whale. I'm going to have a road of trials. And there's not going to be somebody there to assuage the wounds that I might incur along the way as I suffer symbolic death after symbolic death after symbolic death, just like Odin did hanging on the tree, or Dionysus on his cross, or or any of the others. Yeah. And see, the thing is, though, is that the only way to get through these things is to fucking lean into it. The difficulty is the path, not the obstacle. It's the path. And you got to lean into it. But there is help and there is hope. And how that manifests in our life depends on whether or not we're willing to understand why we're in the belly of the whale, our willingness to undergo a transformation, and our ability to try again if we fail. Now, the next one, meeting with the goddess, is covered quite beautifully in a tale I went over last week, 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. I've had surgery and been high since then. I don't know what to tell you guys, just to be real with you. Pain pills are a hell of a lot stronger than I remember them being. God damn. Anyway, I don't have any more, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to get strung out on opioids, the fabricated crisis of the world. People are dying of opioids. Yep. They're dying of a lot of shit. But nothing pays quite like Big Pharma. Idiots. Meeting the goddess. This is the point when the person experiences a love that has the power and significance of the all-powerful, all-encompassing, unconditional love that a fortunate infant may experience with his or her mother. Getting just a taste of that, a small bit of it, not a whole bunch, just a drop of it, as a drop of honey in a glass of tea, changes everything about that glass of tea, doesn't it? That meeting with the goddess is such a powerful idea that the majority of Arthurian legend is dominated by that very precept. Every young man meets a woman when he's younger that absolutely touches his heart and allows it to flower in ways that's beyond his comprehension and way outside of any boundary he understands with regards to his mother and his sister. The first love. And it usually wounds him grievously. As when Guinevere cheats on King Arthur with Lancelot. What does King Arthur lose in that painful interaction? He loses the powerful phallic symbol of Excalibur, which was given to him by a woman. That's not an accident, guys. Guinevere takes that to a place of spirituality as she becomes a nun. Now, King Arthur is another one of those tales, like Beowulf and many others, that remind us that is a popular tale that shows how the old pagan king couldn't quite do it, so he had to come to this new one true God to become the powerful king again, but the king and the land are one. And he has to return and find her as a nun in the new spirituality and touch that love one more time and understand how and why he failed to recover that powerful phallic symbol of Excalibur. We see the same thing happen with Sigurd and Brunhilde. Such a very interesting thing, the meeting with the goddess. If a man doesn't quite handle that right, it will scar him forever. And you see them all over line, the red pill community. You see them all online talking about a woman will always do this and a woman will always do that all of the time. And this, and you can't trust them, and they're going to do this, and they're going to find somebody better. Well, it seems to me if they're going to find somebody better, you might start working on being somebody fucking better if you want to keep them around. Well, she's not yours. It's just your turn. Well, how long that turn lasts determines on how much of a man you feel like becoming to be that man to lengthen that out. It's a joke. It's an absolute fucking farce. Yeah. You want to keep them around, you better become something better. And it ain't like you can't change every aspect of who and what you are to try to do that. Now, am I saying sacrifice who you are for that woman or being the better man? be the better man. If she moves on, she moves on. But just like with King Arthur, something so gloriously wonderful touched him, it wounded him, and the king and the land ailed until he could figure out how to deal with that powerful feminine spirituality in his life and reclaim the phallic symbol of Excalibur. Meeting with the goddess is the most powerful thing that a man will ever have to contend with. Why? Because he doesn't fucking understand what a woman is, how she works, how she thinks, how she acts. And to have one that's fully empowered standing next to you, well, that's a terrifying thing because she has freedom to choose. Oh, I'm not putting this thing at risk again. We'll keep it shallow and on the surface. Good luck with that. That's one surefire way to ensure she's not yours. It's just your turn. Good job. Best thinking you can come up with as we're halfway into the initiation is I'll just close that part of me off. Yeah. Oh, okay. Then we come to the most favorite one. Well, my goodness, guess what happens next? Temptation. My goodness. This step is about those material temptations that may lead the hero to abandon or stray from his or her quest. Well, I can't have love. Might as well take treasure. I'll just be that lone hero that has a pocket full of money and do as I please and so on and so forth. Oh, okay. That's really showing them how it's done, isn't it? Yeah. We on one now. Temptation is where we figure out that this road of trials isn't just a once and done thing, that this meeting with the goddess isn't a once and done thing. Remember who we are, and we get a wolf cut loose on our ass to figure out who we are. We're going to have to deal with these things. Well, that person is great. Why do I need to do anything? I could just ride on that. It's like guys that wear football jerseys. They're wearing jerseys with another man's name on their back. They're not going to do anything to be great or change or set a standard. They'll just claim greatness because I'm going to bet on that player all the time because he's a winner. That's a temptation as well. I agree. We should celebrate the magnificent effort of those athletes that go out there and set the standard. Right? Good on them. That is phenomenal. But I'm not going to wear your name on my back. Right? I celebrate your success. I think that's awesome. Track and field and all, not except for baseball. Except for baseball. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure that's going to piss a lot of people off. Good. More free advertising. I'm all for it. Go with it, run with it, and have fun with it. So I'm going to cut this short right now. I think I've said enough. I'm down to temptation, which is a favorite thing of mine. I typically fail at it, but I'm getting better. I am going to that ain't no joke, man. That's that lone wolf how he does when a golden eagle swoops down out of the sky and just drops him off a cliff. The lone wolf dies. The lone cowboy riding across the desert without help, without a group of people, he dies. The lone knight is beat by two knights, right? The lone warrior. I would love to be in a world where the individual, the great, wonderful ideas of that singular. I join the army, and then I'd be an army of one. I can wreak a lot of damage in the world if I decided to, by myself. But it's like Joey Diaz says, give me 4 good motherfuckers, right? All of them just like me, and we take over our country. You can't beat 4 guys, right? You can't put them down. You can't stop them. You better be, because they're all coming at you. The lone wolf, you better be. Now, if you're Thor, Bjornsson or something, he might have a chance, right? That's a different story. I'm 5'10", 230. I'm not Thor Bjornsson. I'm not 6'8", 400 pounds of nothing but absolute muscle. Big difference. One-man gang, right? There's another one. The alpha, the lone wolf, the sigma male, the individual. I find it difficult to understand when we find individuals that celebrate, I can't work on a team because I'm an alpha. There's a limit to all of that. And the limit may be greater or lesser than the guy next to you. There's a lot of things I can do by myself. there's even more things I can do even better if I'm doing them with people that we're working on the same sheet of music. And that is to move this whole thing forward spiritually. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to do my Gothi call. Anyone's interested in being on my Gothi program or checking it out, it's on my Patreon, The Noble Heathen. I encourage you to check it out. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Because, as I said, show prep for the rest of the heathen community, whether they want to appreciate it or not. Here it is. And yes, I'm making fun of all of you that are listening to it and not saying a word about it. So thank you very much. I appreciate you, Jeremy. That's why I keep doing it. One reason, because we ain't lone wolves. We could probably be one hell of a savage team, I'll tell you that. All right. I appreciate everybody. Tomorrow is Monday. I don't have to go to work tomorrow because I'm still not released from the doctor because I'm somewhat retarded. But for the rest of you, go out there and grab it by the nose and whip its ass. Yeah. And I'll be thinking of you at 9:30 when I get out of bed to have my first cup of coffee and contemplate the great spiritual meanings of truth. Whoo, son, come on. What a dick kind of rub it in like that, isn't it? Damn. All right. All y'all have a great night. I appreciate you. I'm going to get on this call with bad Leroy Brown and see what happens. Tomorrow's the eclipse, isn't it? I wonder if I could get, no, probably not. Anyway, y'all have a great night. Thank you very much for being in here today. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.